Hello, this is the Maxi-Man show. I'm your host, Albert Muchunguzi. Welcome to the show. And my colleague,
Emmanuel Charlton Mjingo, good to be here. Thank you for tuning in.
Wow. This is the Maxi-Man show, the show that's about maximized manhood. You are a man and you want to reach the maximum of your potential. This is the show for you. And today we are discussing an important subject. Dare to be courageous. Dare to be courageous. Courage is an important aspect for every man. For you to be a maximized man, you need to be courageous. Charlton, what characteristics define men of courage?
Men of courage. Men of courage. Manhood and Christ-likeness are synonymous. Wow. If I may say, that is the beginning point. The foundation for you to have courage is Jesus Christ.
Yep.
If you do not have Jesus Christ on the inside of you, where will you draw your courage from? I mean, characteristic number one is knowing the truth. And there's no other truth other than Jesus Christ.
Yep.
So any man out there that wants to be defined as a courageous man, my question is, how is your relationship with Jesus Christ? Yep. Because it is from that relationship that we draw characteristic number one of loving the truth.
That reminds me of the very, very first commandment that God gave to us as human beings, or through the children of Israel. He said, the first commandment, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength. And the second is, you will love the Lord, you will love your neighbor as you love yourself. So the beginning point is loving God.
Loving God.
Because, I mean, that's the foundation.
It's the foundation of being courageous for any man out there.
Yeah.
I mean, it is from that kind of foundation that we can talk about a man being decisive. Yeah. I mean, how can you be decisive if you do not know the truth?
Yeah.
You don't know the right thing. How can you make the right decisions? How can you hold on to your convictions as a man if you do not have a relationship with Christ Jesus from the inside of you?
Yeah. Actually, that takes me to something I have here, that courage can be the virtue of the wise or the vanity of fools. So we realize courage does not operate in a vacuum.
Exactly.
It has to be guided. It has to have parameters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know what?
Yeah.
Courage is guided by the right knowledge.
Yeah.
You must seek to know as a man so as to be in a position of courage. Men who are courageous are willing to learn.
Yeah.
Men who are courageous are knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Men who are courageous know the right things that they need to know.
I think woe unto the man who is courageous in ignorance.
Ignorance. I mean, it's a very sad state for a man to be in a state of ignorance.
Yeah.
Look at the divine mandate given to a man of being a leader. Remember, we're talking about leadership. And we're looking at leaders to be knowledgeable people. Leaders are learners.
Yep.
And in the process of learning, you pick knowledge. It is from the knowledge you pick that you can draw courage as a man.
Yeah.
It's quite absurd if men out there do not desire to learn.
Yeah.
And our desire to learn has to be hinged on knowing and learning the word of God first.
Yeah, actually, Proverbs says that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is understanding.
Exactly.
So I think that's the foundation. That's where it all begins.
Exactly.
Yeah, because if you have no knowledge of who God is, then your understanding is a bit twisted and perverted. Yeah. So even if you want to build courage, then probably, I mean, we've seen people who are so courageous, like who stoned Stephen in the Bible.
In the Bible.
We see some who kill Christians saying that they are pleasing God. I mean, it's perverted knowledge.
Exactly, out of ignorance.
Yeah. Now, why do we see men succumbing to peer pressure?
Succumbing to peer pressure. men fail to resist a certain kind of wave, and that calls for courage. Men succumb to peer pressure because they have failed to work on their courage. Just like we've said, working on your courage starts on building a loving relationship with Christ Jesus. It is from that point that you shall draw courage to resist peer pressure. Let's look at the character of Jesus in the Bible. There's so many things that were happening around him during his time. Do we see him succumbing to any pressures of the time?
No.
He had a relationship with the Father. He knew the right thing. And out of such understanding, he had the courage to stand for what is right. Problem is, many men today do not know the right thing. Do not know the truth. The moment you do not know the truth, you cannot resist peer pressure.
And you see, having a relationship with God helps you to be confident, because God tells you who you are.
Exactly.
Because the purpose of a thing is known by the maker.
Exactly.
So if God made you, he's the one who knows the
How
purpose. So he will give you confidence.
Yes.
Yeah? He will give you confidence as his child. So you will not have to try to please everyone.
No way.
To fit in.
No way.
Yeah? To fit in. So that's the antidote to peer pressure.
Peer pressure. Knowing the truth.
Yeah, knowing the truth and having a relationship with Christ Jesus. Sometimes we see some grown-up boys projecting their personality, polished in their performance, yet we know that God looks at the heart. So why is it necessary for men to develop moral courage?
Moral courage. It is moral courage that enables us to stand and fight for what we know is truth. Just like we say, true men are true vertebrates. Hard on the inside, soft on the outside. They are tough from inside. You live your life as a man from inside out. And courage is not something you touch. Courage is something you summon from within you. Courage is like an experience. You must have courage within you to stand and fight whatever you know is not true, whatever you know is not desired of God. Moral courage gives us the moral fiber. It gives us the backbone to stand as men and maximize our potential. In that, moral courage should be our backbone as men that desire to maximize our potential. Because if you do not have moral courage as a man, you cannot stand. Just like, as human beings, if we had no backbone, in our makeup, when we look at the inside of us, the skeleton, without a backbone, we
would all be falling down.
We can't stand.
Now, quickly, Emma, there is this statement that success is not based on the ability to say yes, but on the ability to say no. Why?
As men, we cannot afford to be yes creatures every now and then. In Uganda, if you've watched traditional dance groups do that kind of stuff they do to entertain guests, they have a set of instruments. There's normally a big drum. In Uganda it is called empunyi. A man cannot afford to be empunyi every now and then. For everything that comes your way, you're just like that big drum. You cannot afford to live that kind of lifestyle as a man. You must learn to say no. And learning to say no meaning you know the truth, you know the right thing. Such a foundation gives you the ability to say yes when the right things manifest before you.
Actually, the ability to say no gives you the power to say yes.
When the right thing manifests, you can easily say yes. That's it. But if you do not have the moral courage to say no, you cannot say yes when the time comes. You can't.
And our dear viewers, there are so many things that a man in this day and age needs to say no to.
Yeah.
We need to say no to so many things because there are so many things that are pulling us and calling us for attention.
Mm-hmm.
They want our money, they want our devotion.
Yeah.
Some are even trying to take the place of God.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you wake up on a Sunday morning, you no longer even remember that there is God to worship, and you're in bed, probably it's a TV. Sometimes you have even to say no to the football.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to say no to the bottle. Sometimes you have to say no to your peers who are calling you to go and hang out, because the ability to say no gives you the power to say yes.
Anything that takes away or hampers your relationship with God,
Yep.
you should say no.
Actually, one of the definitions of an addiction
Mm-hmm.
is one that you cannot say no to.
Exactly.
If you cannot say no to something, then it is an addiction.
Exactly.
Whether it is food, whether it's something as innocent as watching football.
Exactly.
If you cannot say no, if you don't have the ability to say no, then we can say that you're addicted. So having the moral courage to say no gives you the power to say yes to the right things.
Exactly.
Wow.
Those are such powerful principles for any man out there to learn and put into practice.
Yeah.
You know, saying no is such a great principle
Yeah.
that every man should learn and put into practice.
Yeah.
I mean, some feel offended to say no. Why feel offended? If I know the truth, it doesn't matter if you feel offended.
And-
I'm standing by the truth.
And you know, just as we discussed, I recalled something I watched about children, even while growing up.
Yeah.
They need a sufficient amount of no for them to be healthy.
Exactly.
Because if a child says, I want a tablet, you give. I want ice cream,
You
you
give.
give.
I want sweet.
I want give,
Biscuits.
you give. Then the day you said no, they throw a tantrum. But then when the child gets a sufficient amount of no, he knows that it's okay to even say no, because in the real world he will apply for a job and sometimes they will say no.
Yeah.
He learns that sometimes there can be a no and sometimes there can be a yes.
Exactly.
So anyway, going back to the main point, the ability to say no gives you the power to say yes
When
at the
that
right time.
comes.
Wow, powerful.
Very powerful.
Wow, gentlemen, thank you for watching. I know probably we're not watched by gentlemen alone, but if you have a man in your life that needs to listen to these principles, please ask them to subscribe to our Facebook page, to like our Facebook page, to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
This is the Maxi-Man Show. I know when you go to Facebook or YouTube, you may find other Maxi-Mans, but this is the Maxi-Man Show. And it's all about biblical manhood.
Biblical manhood.
Where you can maximize your manhood as a man, you can maximize your potential. And here we say that manhood and Christ-likeness are synonymous.